Thank you very much, Tatsuki Fujimoto, for allowing us fans, the people that love and adore your story, to suffer every single week. I appreciate that. It's such a great time when I get to read Chainsaw Man Part 2's newest chapter, and I feel sad. I suffer. There is agony in here, just boiling and bubbling away, never really knowing what you're going to get, never knowing what to expect, but never getting answers. See, I'd be okay if there was some sort of clarity, some sort of direction that I could potentially peek around the corner and see, but none of it is happy. None of it is joyful. You may think I'm pessimistic for saying that, but every chapter we've gotten so far has just been sadness. And you can't help but feel bad for Denji, to feel bad for what he's going through. The mental gymnastics, like really, is insane. I can only imagine the amount of stress that this boy is going through. He has to deal with school, he has to deal with friends, partially. He has to deal with being Chainsaw Man, raising a child. He's basically a big brother and a father combined in one. He doesn't even really have a job, so he has low money, low income. All the girls that try to approach. What is the purpose? What are they trying to do? I can't even tell. If Fumiko, who kind of spearheads this whole chapter, has a beautiful dialogue, beautiful interaction with Denji, I can't tell if she's being serious. To me, that's just the brilliance of how Fujimoto writes his characters. They're incredibly unstable and unpredictable. So even though these words may be incredibly truthful from the soul, from the heart, the agenda could be entirely elsewhere, and we just wouldn't know. So we look at body movement and we look at facial expressions, which is what Fujimoto is known for, and it makes it even more difficult. His characters are so expressionable on their face that sometimes it usually gives away how they're feeling, but in Fumiko's case, I don't know. Her role, her perspective on things, the genuine feelings coming out, it's very difficult to put her anywhere within this situation. Is she trying to help Denji? Does she see herself genuinely as a fan for Denji? Or is this all just a ploy to get underneath his skin? She really carries this chapter. It's basically all hers. Mostly because her dialogue is very expansive. It's very exploratory, right? She's jumping into different conversations, different pockets, but it's all kind of directed back towards Denji in some. Now, within these pockets of conversations, you see a lot of reaction from Denji.
Leave a like and subscribe right now, please.
They're sitting in a public area, an amusement park, and Naota's in the distance, playing on the rides, etc., having fun. And this conversation feels eerie, most likely because it does take place in public, and you don't expect really anything to happen. But just her usage of words is really weaponizing, I would say. It feels very manipulative, but emotionally and contextually surrounding Chainsaw Man being really good. All of that recognition and respect. You must get thrills from it. Us ordinary people could never. So it's kind of building this platform to what Chainsaw Man actually is within Denji's head, raising it higher and higher. Such a magnificent being. It must be so great, so grand. Denji grounds that glorification of it very quickly, however, and as soon as he does, which obviously, would spiral into the miserable things that he's experienced as Chainsaw Man, she shifts away from it completely, takes control of the conversation once again, but before it seems like he's about to ramble on some sad things. For me, strong opener, right? Really great way to kind of introduce Denji and Fumiko's dynamic currently, but also starting to learn a little bit more and more about Fumiko. But the problem is that it still feels oddly manipulative. Even though she steals the conversation once again, she directs it away from anything negative or even away from Chainsaw Man. She directs it towards being watched. And this is what kind of triggers Denji, shocked and thinks it's really weird because they're observing him in the bathroom and in the house and all over these places because they really don't want him, obviously, to be Chainsaw Man. But then she steals the conversation again. Even though she was saying she's going to get in trouble, she's really done it this time, oh no, what have I done? She reaffirms the idea that she is a fan, not a stalker, right? And there's a very small moment, which I'm super proud of him for, which leads into some big reveals for Fumiko's character. Denji says, all women who come onto me hate my guts. You don't see this realization, this recognition from Denji all too often. So for him to point that out separately, I think is pretty beautiful. It's obviously aggravating for himself, but he's aware of it, which is a great thing. You see her mood switch, however. Like this whole quarter opening bit for her has completely turned on a dime. Because when Denji says that, her face is something we have She does hate him, but we get a reason why, a backstory, which is a lot more in depth than I ever would have thought. I guess one could argue that we all sat here and thought that Fumiko would just be a character that was connected to the story. She wouldn't really get much more to herself. You know what I mean? And that's not really surprising with the amount of characters that come in and out of Fujimoto's works. She felt oddly placed in here, and very uncomfortably so, because of the timing, the situation, and basically how everything came to. But now we've humanized her. Now we've given her a backstory. Now we've given her a connection point to Denji in the first part of Chainsaw Man's story. Do you remember when Denji fought Aki as the gun fiend? Very depressing moment, very sad, but it was also very catastrophic. There was a lot of death, a lot of destruction that was caused because of it. Because of that destruction, Fumiko's parents were killed. And because she witnessed this fight, she pleaded for Chainsaw Man's help. He did not come. He did not rescue her parents. That's why she has a bit of hatred. There was a realization that she also had within there, because not only did she see the fight, she saw the end of it when Denji goes back to his normal self, all the chainsaws disappear, and he was left there crying. That's what she's seen. She felt bad. She's seen that this person with this responsibility dealing with all of these things is only a kid. For her to say that, to express it, to even understand it and recognize that she might have had hatred because Chainsaw Man didn't help her, but has bypassed it because Denji was a child. He was in a rough position. She can forgive him for that, is super noble. And it is very, very uncomfortable, because now you just don't know what she's doing. Is she good? Is she bad? Is she trying to manipulate things? This seems personal. This seems something very deep down and rooted that you couldn't just make up on the spot, even though they could have like preset portfolios of their history if they needed to. But this sounds real. It sounds genuine. Denji's taking it in like it's genuine, but what are we meant to believe? From that incident, she made up her mind that she would save him. To me, that's kind of crazy. She's a fan of Denji, not Chainsaw Man, and I can't really put my thumb on what she plans to do to save him. Her words and her expression seem genuine, but are they real? Is this something that she's always wanted to do? Is this something that's even possible? When you say save him, what exactly do you mean? By taking Pochita away from him? By taking the chainsaw aspect away from him? I don't know. I love it though. I think the conversation's very beautiful, very eye-opening, and just provides a... We know that public safety is doing one thing, Fami's group, Chainsaw Man Church, are doing another. This is where it starts, and they are killing this boy ever so slowly. Yep, Barum is here. Who else would it be? Oddly calm, cool, collected flamethrower, here to manipulate the situation. Now, we overheard this whole conversation, but the face that Fumiko makes looks odd. Almost like she's kind of disgusted that he's here. Now, there could be two reasons for this. One, public safety set up a very impressive perimeter that obviously no person should be able to get through in terms of getting to Denji, especially a hybrid. He did, clearly, and he recognizes that public safety were impressive. So either she's angry at that, which would definitely make sense, or she's angry on the fact that he's here to manipulate the situation with Denji. Take your pick. Of course, we get his version of Chainsaw Man, what he seeks, and it's basically the polar opposite. Public safety is fighting for Denji not to be Chainsaw Man. You're going to try and humanize him. You're going to try and bring him back down to reality where Chainsaw Man is enjoyable, but Denji is the one that has to be saved to live that normal lifestyle. Fami's group, Chainsaw Man Church, are obviously trying to weaponize that. They want to make Chainsaw Man this savior, this god, this being that can do no wrong. They made him popular, and this is exactly how they are weaponizing it. Moments from now, a devil attack will take place. This is the work of the Chainsaw Man Church and them planting pretty much, I guess, a public perception's idea of who their savior can be, and that is none other, you guessed it, Save Us Chainsaw Man. Now, I talked about this before, just a little bit, in saying that the one thing that actually gets people killed in that full armor form, that Pochita form, is when people say Save Us Chainsaw Man, because they have to give something back. At least that is the assumption that we have for Pochita's form. Do you see the problematic structure that's kind of underneath all of this? If the public start to do this more and more, trying to urge Chainsaw Man out, when Nostradamus' prophecy does come into play, if Denji gets triggered into that form, which is what they are also looking for, mind you, they're trying to find the trigger for Pochita's full armor form, they can utilize that however they want, and the public is probably going to get slaughtered between all of it. I will say that I am very curious on how this goes, because you have 3 hybrids that are in the food court about to just blow everything up. Very menacing, by the way. There's just 3 of them standing there with all of these children and people running around them. Who saves this? Who stops this from going out of control? I think we're going to have a pretty big conflict here. That's just a complete guess, but just with the couple of breaks that Fujimoto has had up to this point, I think he might have been prepping for a lot of the artistry that usually goes into it. Obviously, we have Asumitaka. That is contender number 1. I'm curious on where she is. Obviously, we have Denji, but we have Naoto within the vicinity as well. Maybe public safety might try and do something. Maybe Fumiko. I don't know. Whatever Fujimoto has cooking, I am all for it. There's a lot of ways that this can go, and we do have a chapter next week, so I guess mentally prep yourself, potentially for the worst, potentially for Denji to be